And I fully welcome the Sean Strickland era. I'm excited to see what happens, and it's fully shook up the division, which also is, it kind of needed that revamp, I think. But yeah, moving on. I find it hard to come to terms with Izzy is deserving of a second title shot, a rematch again, just because. Now, before I go into it, I do want to say I'm a huge Izzy fan. I think he's one of the greatest middleweights of all time. Good argument for the greatest of all time. He lapped the division. He's done his work. He's been the most active champion over the last few years. You know, he's a huge star with the fans, etc. But when you look at it on paper, he's 1-2 in his last 3. He lost the title in the first defense. Now, I just don't see how that's more deserving of a title shot than, say, DDP. You know what I mean? Because as much as, you know, he's done for the sport, for the division, there comes a point where you have to draw, you have to put a pin in it, you have to draw a line. Because if he wins the title back, say, in a rematch, and then loses it again in the first defense, does he just get another rematch? Where do you stop? And how do you come to that conclusion? I think the rematch with Pereira was warranted. One, because if you're a long reigning champion and, you lose the title, you might have had an off night, things happen, you might have been injured, etc., etc. You give them the rematch out of respect for what they've done. Or, like again, in the Pereira match, you win in the fight, you get caught at the end, you lose. Like the Leon Edwards-Usman fight, for example. That makes sense. But once you've already cashed that in, I don't think you get another go. I think that DDP is definitely more deserving. The winner of Khamzat Costa has a shout. Maybe not for a title shot immediately, but definitely they put themselves up there. Costa puts himself back in contention if he beats Khamzat because of obviously the hype Khamzat's got behind him. If Khamzat can beat Costa, he's beat a contender at middleweight. I say the most simple thing is give Khamzat and Costa winner Adesanya, give DDP Strickland, then give the loser of Costa Khamzat Jared Cannonier. And I think that fixes all the problems. Now, you still obviously have Vettori, you still have Whitaker, but I think that can work itself out. But yeah, that's my thoughts on it. I certainly don't think Adesanya should be given a rematch. I definitely wouldn't be surprised if he is, just because he is the golden boy. Dana wants him to be champion. Nobody expected him to lose. They're probably confident that he can win the fight if they have a rematch. But what happens if he doesn't? If he loses the rematch, let's say in a similar fashion, he's been dominated over 50 minutes by Sean Strickland. He's 1-3 in his last 4. There's no way you can give him a title shot anytime soon. Do you just lose one of the best middleweights of all time, for the next year or two? They're just, kind of stuck in a Max Holloway, and they're just doing the fun fights. I think they really need to consider what happens, the what ifs, because it's not we saw on Saturday, it's not a guarantee that Izzy's going to win. But yeah, I'm very interested to see how it plays out, for sure.